Welcome to FPTV New Releases. We're here to talk about one of our favourite subjects, Batman, with one of our favourite authors, James Tynion IV. How are you, man?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
It's always such a pleasure to have you here, mate. Now, you are one of the key contributors to Batman Black and White Issue 1. What can you tell us about that project, and what can you tell us about your involvement in it?
Well, honestly, it's something that I was so thrilled when I heard that DC was reviving the whole Batman Black and White project. I think that, the great thing about Batman Black and White and all of its previous incarnations was that it really puts a focus on the most important aspect of the entire comic medium, which is the art. And it is about how do you create a limitation in the black and white, in making a black and white comic, and see what can you still build out of it. And Batman is a character who lends himself so well to black and white. So I knew from the moment that this was back on the table that I wanted to work with, a really, really exciting artist. I wanted to bring in someone who, really spoke to the sort of stories that I don't always get to tell in the pages of the main Batman title, or even a book like Detective Comics. And so I reached out to my friend Tradd Moore to see if he would be interested in contributing to the book. And thankfully, and Tradd's been a good friend of mine for years. So thankfully he said yes, and DC was on board. And really from that moment, we just started talking about what would be cool to draw. What would be what can we make our contribution to the whole Batman Black and White process? And really what we kind of settled on is we wanted Batman fighting a bunch of ninjas, and because what can you do better? And Tradd does action like no other artist in the medium. He's his style is so unique, and it's so kinetic, and going all the way back to all of the Luther Strode books he did at Image, and and Ghost Rider, and then Silver Surfer Black at Marvel. His stuff is when you do an action scene by Tradd Moore, it looks like nothing that any other artist in the industry can do. So I just wanted to kind of get out of his way and do something that tapped a bit into the Ra's al Ghul mythology, and the League of Assassins, and his whole army of ninjas, and the idea of and tell a story from the perspective of the smallest element of that story, from one of the ninjas fighting Batman, who's just one small part of the eternal battle between Ra's al Ghul and Batman. And so that's really where this came from. The story is called The Demon's Fist.
Fantastic. As you say, Tad's uniquely qualified to illustrate that story, actually. And I think you mentioned Luther Strode, which has always been a great favourite of mine. It's a great favourite of my son's, actually. And that's such a wonderful and unique in many ways. But I think you've hit the nail on the head. His ability with kind of kinetic action, you really feel it when you read his comic book panels. You really feel it inside you. It's got that visceral impact.
It absolutely does. And really, this is it's just exciting. And I've never seen Batman drawn the way that Tradd draws him. While those pages were coming in, I was just jaw dropped the entire time. I was just staring at him agog. It was incredible. So, and then he lives in Brooklyn with, he's a short walk away from me, so we see each other all the time. But I was geeking out at him every time he was sending in a page.
Oh, mate, that's great. And go back, can you remember when you were first exposed to the OG versions of Batman Black and White?
Oh boy, that's a really, really good question. I know that, because I think I encountered them a little early on, and without sort of, I think everyone has a different progression through how they appreciate comics as a medium. And as someone who comes at things through story for the first time, I was very plugged into the in continuity versions of characters, especially when I was like a young teenager and all of that. But as I became an older teenager and into my college years, and I started really appreciating some of the art first style comics and the importance of leaning into the letting the art tell the story. I really found a new appreciation, and especially an appreciation from the fact that in those original Batman Black and Whites, you had stories from like Katsuhiro Otomo, who did Akira and is one of my all-time favorites, and just the breadth of talent involved. It was just absolutely astonishing, and thankfully I can say just from the murderer's row of talent that they have attached to the current iteration, I think we're going to see that again. And I hope that there's the continued support, because there are so many artists that I would love to see that tackle a Batman Black and White project.
Yeah, me too, brother. And everybody at FP has been blown away by the pages that we've been seeing from the book. So, on that supremely positivist note, you can pre-order Batman Black and White issue 1 from the links attached to this interview. James, great to see you again, mate. You take care of yourself. See you soon.
See you.
Bye-bye.